No, go ahead, keep singing. Go ahead, keep singing. Why you gonna stop?
That you is?
No, go ahead, hit them notes. Why you scared now?
No, I ain't scared.
You scared?
They ain't paying me.
You can't imagine the level of pain to find out in that manner that not only was he murdered, but that it was live streamed.
That was a tearful account of Stanley Wright, a Flint advocate and business owner. His son, Mucari Finley, was found dead from stab wounds in a home in Warren. The family spoke today about that emotional loss. Finley was identified after his suspected killer, Dominic Robinson, engaged in a deadly police standoff that was live streamed for nearly 5 hours.
On December 12, 2025, in a quiet residential neighborhood in Warren, Michigan, police surrounded a home where a young man lay dying inside. 29-year-old Mucari Finley, a rising star in Detroit's culinary scene, had been stabbed multiple times. But this wasn't a random act of violence or a robbery gone wrong. This was something far more calculated, far more sinister. Mucari had been lured to that house through a dating app, catfished by someone using fake photos, someone who had been planning something devastating. As police negotiated with the barricaded suspect inside, that person did something that would add another layer of horror to an already tragic situation. They went live on Facebook, streaming from the crime scene, while Mucari's life slipped away. The video went viral, and for Mucari's family, watching their loved one's final moments become internet fodder, the nightmare was only beginning. This is the story of a talented chef whose passion for food brought joy to everyone around him, whose laugh could light up a room, whose future seemed boundless. This is the story of how a swipe on a dating app led to a carefully orchestrated murder. And this is the story of a family fighting to reclaim their son's legacy from the lies and sensationalism that followed his death. Welcome to Dark Truth Files. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any of our latest true crime cases.
Where's Detective Brian Manifold?
I'm working on getting in here. He doesn't work at this time of hours. You gotta wait.
Y'all better wake his ass up.
Oh, I did. Don't worry. He's driving in. What case you got with Brian?
That bitch killed my man 4 months ago, and I killed this bitch.
Okay. Well, that's justice, right? I don't think you're worried about this prison and all this stuff. I don't think there's a jury that's not going to be understanding of that.
No, I ain't want to go through none of this.
Okay.
Like I said, I told you, since I've been here, we've been talking, nothing bad has happened, right? The police haven't come in. They haven't done anything to you.
Where is my sister? Damn. Ain't nobody showed up yet. We're like, what the fuck?
Nikki, that's going to be the same, okay? If you tell me when you're ready and you're comfortable, you can...
But before we get to that devastating December day, let me take you back to Flint, Michigan, where Mucari Finley's story began. Born and raised in a city that's faced more than its share of hardships, Mucari grew up surrounded by love, food, and family. His father, Stanley Wright, owned Soul Good Restaurant in Flint, a local establishment that served as more than just a place to eat. It was a community gathering spot, a place where people came for comfort food and good conversation. Mucari grew up in that restaurant, watching his father work the kitchen, learning early on that food was about more than sustenance. It was about creating moments of joy. From a young age, Mucari showed a natural talent in the kitchen, but more than that, he showed something that can't be taught. He had heart. Everyone who knew him described him the same way: joyful, kind, generous with his laughter, someone who made you feel better just by being around him. He touched so many lives, his Aunt Dewana Wright would later say. It wasn't just family loyalty talking. Friends, co-workers, even casual acquaintances would echo the same sentiment. Mucari had a gift for making people feel seen, for making them feel valued. After graduating from Grand Blanc High School, Mucari made the decision to pursue his passion professionally. He enrolled at Schoolcraft College, one of Michigan's premier culinary schools, where he trained in the art and science of cooking. This wasn't someone dabbling in the kitchen as a hobby. Mucari was serious about his craft. He studied technique, learned about flavor profiles, immersed himself in the discipline required to succeed in the demanding world of professional cooking. In 2018, at just 22 years old, Mucari landed his first major position at the Detroit Athletic Club, one of the city's most prestigious private clubs, founded in 1887. He started at the bottom as a prep cook, doing the unglamorous work that most people never see, chopping vegetables, preparing stocks, cleaning stations. But Mucari didn't see it as beneath him. He saw it as his foundation, and he threw himself into the work with the same enthusiasm he brought to everything else in his life. Under the mentorship of Master Chef Sean Loving, Mucari's skills flourished. Chef Loving recognized something special in the young cook, not just technical ability, but creativity, dedication, and that intangible quality that separates good cooks from great ones. Mucari absorbed everything, asked questions, stayed late, came in early. By 2018, just 4 years after starting as a prep cook, he had risen to the position of sous chef, the second in command in a professional kitchen. At 22 years old, this was a remarkable achievement. He was managing other cooks, helping design menus, running service during the chef's absence. He had proven himself. But Mucari's ambitions extended beyond the walls of even the finest restaurant kitchen. He wanted to create more personalized experiences, to connect directly with the people he was cooking for. So he made another bold move. He became a private chef. This meant catering intimate dinners in clients' homes, preparing meal preps for busy professionals, handling corporate events, and yes, cooking for professional athletes from the NFL and NBA who wanted restaurant-quality meals tailored to their specific dietary needs and training schedules. This was high-pressure work. When you're cooking for a professional athlete whose body is their livelihood, whose performance depends on precise nutrition, you can't afford mistakes. But Mucari thrived under that pressure. His clients trusted him. They welcomed him into their homes. He wasn't just their chef, he became their friend. Most recently, he had joined the team at RH Rooftop Restaurant in Birmingham, an upscale establishment known for its elegant atmosphere and innovative cuisine. He was also associated with Northville Sports Den and Nomi Lounge, staying connected to different facets of the Detroit culinary scene. Friends said he loved the diversity of Detroit's culinary world, the way the city was experiencing a renaissance, the creativity flowing through its kitchens. Outside of work, Mucari was passionate about music, about his city, and about his dog, who he doted on like a parent. He had zero criminal history, not even a speeding ticket. According to his family, he didn't use drugs, didn't sell drugs, wasn't involved in anything shady. He was exactly what he appeared to be, a good person trying to build a good life through hard work and talent. At 29, Mucari was exactly where he wanted to be. He had a career he loved, a family who supported him, friends who adored him, and a future that looked bright. He had dreams of maybe opening his own restaurant someday, of expanding his private chef business, of continuing to make people happy through his food. Little did he know that a simple decision to engage with someone on a dating app would lead to his life being violently cut short. Like millions of people in their 20s and 30s, Mucari used dating apps. In 2025, this was completely normal, even expected. Apps like Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge had become the primary way people met potential partners. For someone like Mucari, who worked long hours in demanding kitchens, it made sense. Traditional dating, meeting people at bars or through friends, wasn't always practical when your work schedule involved nights, weekends, and holidays. At some point in late 2025, Mucari matched with someone who went by the name Dominic Robinson, although she also used the handle Nikki Pop on social media. Robinson was 30 years old and lived in Warren, Michigan, a working-class city just north of Detroit. According to what Mucari's family would later piece together, he and Robinson had been communicating through the dating app, but had never met in person. They had exchanged messages, maybe talked on the phone, built what Mucari thought was a connection. But here's what Mucari didn't know, what he couldn't have known. The person he was talking to wasn't being honest about who they were. The family believes Mucari was catfished, that Robinson had used fake or heavily edited photos to present herself as someone she wasn't. Catfishing has become disturbingly common in the age of dating apps, and while it's often portrayed as relatively harmless deception, the psychological dynamics behind it can be deeply troubling. Why does someone feel the need to present a false version of themselves? What are they hiding? And what happens when the deception is revealed? For most catfishing victims, the worst outcome is embarrassment, disappointment, maybe feeling foolish for having been deceived. But for Mucari Finley, the person who catfished him had something far darker in mind. What was going through Dominique Robinson's head in the days leading up to December 12th? What motivated her to lure Mucari to her home? According to Robinson herself, in statements she would make during that horrifying Facebook live stream, she believed Mucari had sold drugs to her boyfriend, leading to his death from an overdose. She claimed she was seeking revenge, justice for her lost love. But here's the problem with that story. There's absolutely no evidence it's true. Mucari's family vehemently denies it. They point to his complete lack of criminal history, his dedication to his career, his character. Police have not confirmed any connection between Mucari and any drug-related death. And here's the other thing. If Robinson truly believed Mucari had killed her boyfriend, why didn't she go to the police? Why didn't she provide evidence to law enforcement? Why did she instead create a fake profile, lure him to her home, and take matters into her own hands? The family has a different theory about the motive. They believe this was rooted in pure hate and jealousy. But jealousy of what? Hate for what reason? These questions remain partially unanswered, but what's clear is that Mucari walked into that house on December 12th with no idea of the danger waiting for him. Did he notice anything off when he arrived? Did Robinson's appearance not match her photos? Did you feel uncomfortable? We may never know if there were warning signs in those final moments before the violence erupted, if Mucari had any sense that something was wrong. What we do know is that Mucari Finley had no prior connection to Dominique Robinson beyond their communications on the dating app. He wasn't her ex-boyfriend, he wasn't someone she had a history with. He was essentially a stranger she had lured to her home under false pretenses. And the worst was still to come. Thursday, December 12th, 2025 started like any other day. Mucari likely had no idea it would be his last. Did he tell anyone he was going to meet someone from a dating app? Did he share his location with friends or family, a common safety practice in the age of online dating? Or did he go alone, trusting that this was just a normal first meeting with someone he'd been talking to? At some point that day, Mucari drove to Warren, to the residential address Robinson had provided. Warren is a sprawling city of about 139,000 people, just north of Detroit's 8-mile road boundary. The neighborhood where Robinson lived was typical of working-class Warren: modest single-family homes, small yards, the kind of area where people know their neighbors and notice unusual activity. When Mucari arrived at the house and went inside, we can only imagine what happened next. Did Robinson confront him immediately? Did she accuse him of causing her boyfriend's death? Did she give him any chance to defend himself, to explain that she had the wrong person, that he had nothing to do with whatever tragedy she'd experienced? Or did she attack without warning? What we know for certain is that at some point inside that house, Dominique Robinson stabbed Mucari Finley multiple times. The attack was brutal, violent, sustained. This wasn't a single stab wound from a moment of rage or panic. Multiple stab wounds indicate repeated action, continued violence even after the victim is incapacitated. It speaks to a level of rage or determination that goes beyond a momentary loss of control. As Mucari lay bleeding, possibly crying out for help, possibly trying to escape, possibly already unconscious, Robinson made a choice that would define how the world learned about this tragedy. Instead of calling 911, instead of trying to help him, instead of even fleeing the scene, she barricaded herself inside the house. Before we continue with what happened next, if you're finding this story compelling, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who follows true crime, and drop a comment below with your thoughts so far. Your engagement helps us bring more stories like this to light. Now, let's get back to Mucari's story. Neighbors noticed something was wrong. Maybe they heard screaming, maybe they saw someone arrive and never leave, maybe they just sensed something off about the house. Whatever prompted the call, Warren Police Department responded to the residents on December 12th. What they found was a barricaded suspect situation. Robinson had locked herself inside and refused to come out. Standard protocol in these situations is to establish a perimeter, evacuate nearby houses if necessary, and bring in negotiators. Police don't immediately rush a barricaded location because it's dangerous for everyone involved, officers, the suspect, and potentially other people inside. So they set up outside and began the process of trying to talk Robinson out. Hours passed, the standoff stretched on, and then Robinson did something that would traumatize Mucari's family in ways that went beyond even his death. She went live on Facebook. Using her Nikki Pop account, she began live streaming from inside the house. In the video, which quickly went viral, she made her claims about Mucari selling drugs to her boyfriend and causing his death. She presented herself as someone seeking justice. She tried to control the narrative, to make herself the victim of this story. Meanwhile, Mucari was dying or already dead inside that same house. Think about the psychology of that for a moment. You've just stabbed someone multiple times. Police are surrounding your house. Instead of surrendering, instead of trying to help your victim, instead of accepting the consequences of your actions, you film yourself and broadcast it to the world. You turn a human being's murder into content. For Mucari's family, watching this video or hearing about it or seeing it shared across social media was devastating in a way that's hard to articulate. It's one thing to lose someone you love to violence. It's another entirely different thing to have their death turned into a spectacle, to have lies told about them to thousands of strangers, to watch the person who killed them try to become infamous through social media. The video spread rapidly. In the age of viral content, tragedy travels at the speed of a share button. People who had never heard of Mucari Finley or Dominique Robinson were suddenly watching this horrifying situation unfold in real time. Some viewers were probably genuinely trying to understand what was happening. Others were likely just consuming it as entertainment, as drama, as content to discuss and dissect. Eventually, after hours of standoff, Robinson surrendered to police. She was taken into custody and transported to Macomb County Jail. Inside the house, police found Mucari's body and confirmed what everyone knew. He was dead. A 29-year-old man who had gone to what he thought was a first date had been murdered. A talented chef whose food had brought joy to countless people would never cook another meal. A son, a friend, a colleague who made everyone around him feel better just by being there was gone. And his family was left to deal with not just their grief, but with the public nature of his death and the lies being spread about who he was. Warren Police and Macomb County Prosecutor's Office moved quickly to build their case. The evidence was overwhelming. Robinson had essentially confessed during her live stream. Mucari's body was found in her house. There were no other suspects, no complicated whodunit. This was as straightforward as a murder case gets from an investigative standpoint. Dominique Robinson was formally charged with first-degree premeditated murder, the most serious homicide charge under Michigan law. First-degree murder requires proof that the killing was willful, deliberate, and premeditated, meaning the defendant thought about it beforehand and made a conscious decision to kill. The fact that Robinson allegedly lured Mucari to her home through a dating app using fake photos speaks directly to premeditation. This wasn't a spontaneous act. This was planned. If convicted of first-degree murder in Michigan, Robinson faces mandatory life in prison without the possibility of parole. There's no death penalty in Michigan, so life without parole is the maximum sentence. Robinson remained held in Macomb County Jail without bond, which is standard for first-degree murder charges. She would have to go through the court system, with arraignment, preliminary examination, and potentially a trial unless she accepted a plea deal. But for Mucari's family, the legal process was only one part of their nightmare. In the days following Mucari's death, his family faced an impossible situation. They were grieving the loss of someone they loved deeply, but they were also having to actively fight against misinformation and lies being spread about him online. Robinson's claims during the live stream that Mucari was a drug dealer, that she had caused her boyfriend's death, had been heard by thousands of people. Despite having no evidence, despite being contradicted by everyone who actually knew Mucari, these lies had been broadcast and were being repeated. Mucari's father, Stanley Wright, and his aunt, Dewana Wright, became the public voices of the family. They spoke to local news outlets, to anyone who would listen, trying to set the record straight about who Mucari really was. He had no criminal history. He wasn't involved in drugs. He was a chef. He was building a legitimate career. He was loved by everyone who knew him. The family held gatherings at Soul Good Restaurant in Flint, Mucari's father's establishment, where the community could come together to remember him as he really was, not as Robinson had portrayed him, but as the joyful, talented, kind person everyone actually knew. They also held a vigil at the crime scene in Warren, reclaiming that space, refusing to let it be defined solely by violence and lies. They wanted people to know that Mucari was an innocent victim, someone who had been catfished and murdered, someone whose only crime was trusting that a person on a dating app was who they claimed to be. The family also called for the removal of Robinson's live stream video from social media. The fact that it continued to circulate, that people could still watch it, that it had become part of the internet's permanent record was deeply traumatizing. But as anyone who understands how the internet works knows, once something goes viral, it's nearly impossible to completely erase. Beyond their personal grief and their fight against misinformation, the family was left asking bigger questions. How did this happen? How did someone with apparent violent intentions manage to lure an innocent person to their death through a dating app? What responsibility do these platforms have to verify users or prevent catfishing? How do we protect people in an age where making connections increasingly happens through screens rather than in person? These aren't easy questions, and there are no simple answers. Dating apps have revolutionized how people meet, and for many, they work exactly as intended. But for every success story, there are stories of deception, harassment, assault, and now, in Mucari's case, murder. The case remains ongoing as Robinson proceeds through the legal system. Her trial will likely take place sometime in 2026, where a jury will hear the evidence and determine her guilt or innocence, though given the circumstances, the victim found in her home, her own live stream admissions, and the apparent premeditation, a conviction seems likely. But no conviction, no sentence, no amount of justice can bring Mucari Finley back. His family has lost him forever. The Detroit culinary community has lost a rising talent, and everyone who knew him has lost someone who made their lives better just by being in it. At the end of all of this, we need to remember who this story is really about. Not the person who killed him, not the sensational details of the live stream, not the social media drama or the viral video. This story is about Mucari Finley, a 29-year-old chef from Flint, Michigan, who loved his craft, loved his family, loved his city, and loved making people happy through his food. Someone who worked his way up from prep cook to sous chef through talent and dedication. Someone who made professional athletes trust him with their nutrition. Someone whose laugh could light up a room. Someone who, by all accounts, never hurt anyone and was just trying to build a good life. He deserved to grow old. He deserved to open that restaurant he might have been dreaming about. He deserved to cook thousands more meals, to bring joy to thousands more people, to maybe start a family of his own someday. He deserved a future. Instead, his life was stolen by someone who lured him to his death under false pretenses, someone who then tried to justify murder by spreading lies about who he was. The tragedy of Mucari Finley's death extends beyond his family and friends. It's a reminder that in our increasingly digital world, where we meet people through apps and form connections through screens, danger can lurk behind any profile. It's a reminder that catfishing isn't just a harmless prank or an embarrassing story to tell later. It can be a tool used by people with malicious intent. And it's a reminder that every murder victim was a real person with dreams and talents and people who loved them, even when the circumstances of their death try to turn them into a character or a hashtag or a piece of content to be consumed and forgotten. Mucari Finley's family is determined that he won't be forgotten and that he'll be remembered for who he truly was, not for the lies told by the person who killed him. What do you think about this case? About the dangers of dating apps? About the responsibility of social media platforms when violence is live streamed? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth true crime coverage. Remember Mucari Finley, not as a victim, but as the talented, joyful person he was.